Hey, what's going on, guys? Connor here with another episode of Sifting Through the Duds. And this week, we're actually going to be talking to all the up and coming strength and conditioning coaches that are trying to get into the field, or you're still in school trying to decide what you want to do, and kind of let you know the facts about the industry. So, first off, everybody thinks this is a pretty awesome job, and I'm not going to lie, it is. At times, it's really awesome. I get to wear gym shorts and a t-shirt to work every day. I get to hang out with athletes. I get to be active and move around. There's a lot of benefits to this field, but there's also a lot of other things that I think a lot of people are failing to take into account when they decide that they want to be a strength and conditioning coach. And today we're going to talk about those things. All right, so first things first, not everyone's going to work in a team setting. I know you want to. You want to be the director at like a Power 5 conference in the NCAA, or you want to work in the NFL or the NBA or Major League Baseball, the NHL, whatever it is. Like, that's where everybody wants to be, but there's just not enough jobs out there for how many people are in this industry. Like, for example, in 2019, there were over 30,000 exercise science, physical education, exercise physiology graduates in this country. There's only 4,000 universities, and there's only 151 professional teams. So that means if every university has a strength and conditioning coach, and not all of them do, there's only, 4,151 director jobs out there in a team setting, right? Even throw in high schools in there. So in the U.S., there's right around 27,000 high schools, and I would venture to guess that not even a quarter of them have strength and conditioning coaches, but let's just say that all of them did. That means that there's really only 30,000, right around 30,000 jobs in a team setting in the United States. So if you're getting into this field, try to understand more than likely you're not going to end up in the team setting. It's just not going to happen for you. Don't get me wrong. You can get there, but it's going to be a long road, and it's going to be a hard road, and we're going to talk about some of that now. All right. So here's another thing. Most of you guys are going to end up personal trainers and working in the private sector, and that's not a bad thing. I work in the private sector. I've been in the private sector the majority of my career, and I enjoy it. But just come to grips with the fact that that's probably where you're going to end up before starting this journey. One more thing that's really important: average pay for fitness professionals in this country. That's including personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, even physical therapists. The average pay is somewhere in the neighborhood of $35,000 a year. That's not average starting pay. That is average pay across the board. So understand that. Understand $34,000 is not a lot of money. After taxes, it's even less. After benefits, you're paying into your insurance and all that kind of stuff. There's not a lot of money left over at the end of that. So $34,000, sorry. If you feel like you can live off that, then great. This is the field for you. So we're going to go over some advice that I have for people getting into the field. I got about 10 things I want to outline we're going to talk about. Number one, don't expect to be able to pay your bills early on. Sure, there's guys like Doyle and Cochran and Murati who are making over $500,000 a year, but their GAs are making less than $25,000. That's not a lot of money. Again, in the private sector, I took my first position. I was making $23,000 a year to work about 70 hours a week. So just understand that it's going to be very difficult for you to pay your bills early on. You may have to have other jobs if you have the time. I know I was working the better part of 70 hours a week when I first got in the field, so I didn't really have time for another job. So I just wasn't able to live very lavishly, and take it as a stepping stone, but understand that you're not going to be making $500,000 starting off in this field. You're not even probably going to be making 40 to 50K starting off in this field. Another thing that's often overlooked: be an athlete or get into powerlifting or Olympic weightlifting. If you're going to be in this field, you've got to understand, like, getting in the trenches and getting the job done. Like, everything's cool on paper. You can be a sports scientist and think, we have to train at this level with this percentage and this load on this day and blah, blah, blah. But if you haven't been in there and got in the trenches and done it, you don't understand it. On top of that, this field's oversaturated with people. And when I get applications or resumes for jobs, I look for reasons to eliminate people. And it's sad, but if you're an athlete, you kind of already have a leg up on a lot of other people. That doesn't mean that just being an athlete is going to get you a job. It doesn't, and it shouldn't. But it can definitely help. For instance, when I was at the athletes compound in Saddlebrook, this is probably about 7 years ago, we put out online ad for interns, and it was a paid internship spot. It was minimum wage, so it wasn't a lot of money. I think at the time it was like $7.15 or something like that, and we got over 200 applications. So at that point, we're literally just looking to eliminate people because we only had 2 spots open. So just understand, playing a sport or getting into powerlifting and Olympic lifting is going to pay dividends for you down the road. Another thing, read everything. Your university degree, your program teaches you nothing. It teaches you the very basics, and it's up to you to kind of learn from these other coaches who have been there and give yourself an opportunity to be a better coach. You need to get in there, read things from Bondarchuk and Sif and Verkhoshansky, even Ripito and Chu, those guys. Learn the things that your university degree didn't tell you, because there's so much information out there and there's so many different things that you're not going to learn at the university level. Your degree will help you get your foot in the door, but you've got to be knowledgeable, and you have to have a lot more knowledge than what you're going to learn in school. This next one's actually really important. Make sure this is something you really want to do. It's a long road to be able to make a living in this field. I'd say it took me 7 years before I was really able to comfortably live. And it's just what it is. Even in the private sector, it's jobs. Most of those jobs are commission based. So if you're not great at sales, you could be the best strength coach in the world and nobody cares, right? You're not going to be able to pay your bills. On top of that, I think that we do everyone a huge disservice when we tell them, you'll never work a day in your life if you love what you do. That's absolute nonsense. You're going to be putting in between 40 and 70 hours a week. Trust me, I'm working when I'm working for 70 hours a week. Doesn't matter if I'm flipping burgers or if I'm coaching. I love doing it, but it's still work. You need to ask yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want? And this field, for the majority of the people in it, it's not going to provide you a lifestyle that's very comfortable. And it's just a sad fact. Next one is something I wish I would have taken into consideration a little bit more when I first got into the field. Network your ass off. It's not about what you know. It's about who you know. Every job opportunity I've gotten in this field has been a direct result of somebody that I've known. And it's going to be the same for you. And I used to think when I was first coming out of school, like, that's so stupid, you should hire the best person. But I'll tell you what, I'm more than likely, when I go to hire my first assistant at the Lions Den, I'm going to hire somebody I know, whether it's an intern or another coach that I know well, because I know they're going to be able to do the job for me. So get out there, network, get to know people. It'll do nothing but good things for you. This next, it's the 6th thing on the list here. Learn to market yourself. This job in the private sector, so we've already established most of you are not going to be at the university or professional level. Learn to market yourself. This is the sales job. It's not a coaching job. You have to make the sale to be able to do the coaching. And, after you've done that long enough, word of mouth gets out. And if you're a good coach, then great. You're going to be able to make it. You're not going to have to market at the same level that you did when you first got into it. But you've got to learn how to sell if you're going to be in this field. It's just a fact. Universities don't teach us any of that. That's something that you got to kind of get out there and do on your own. Next one's actually really big as well. They all are. I keep saying they're big, but they're all big. Intern in multiple settings with multiple coaches. Intern in the private sector. Intern at the college level. Intern at the professional level. If you have the opportunity to be able to do that. Understand how different these settings are. They're very different. Working with a team at a university is going to be completely different than having to split your time between sales and marketing and coaching and all these other things. Intern, everywhere you can, just get out there and understand how different every part of this field is, because none of it's the same. Also, in addition to that, intern under multiple coaches. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with in this field who had one experience at one facility and now that's what they do. You need to get out there, learn from different coaches so that you can have your own set of principles and your own philosophy. There's guys out there that, they intern for one guy and now they're a strength coach, right? They went from being an intern to being the head somewhere. And now basically what they do is they mimic the coach that they interned under. And there's no real understanding of what you're doing. It just becomes, this is what we did, so this is what we're doing. It's dangerous in this field. It's stupid, and it's not going to get you where you need to be. You need to learn from multiple people. Next one, get a degree in this field and get certified. I think it's important to have the base. I know earlier I said that your degree teaches you nothing, but it gives you the bones of what you need to know, the structure of how you need to coach. It's not going to teach you how to coach, but it gives you an understanding of basic principles, in physics and ex-phys. Like there's a lot of things that you need to know to be able to program. And if you don't have the background in it, it's kind of hard to get that. All right. So get a degree in the field and get certified. I think it's important to be certified either through the NSCA or the NSCCA, just because it shows that you care, for one. If you're at the university level, you have to have it. If you're in the private setting, it shows that you cared enough to put in the work to get it done. I think it's important to be certified. Are there plenty of coaches out there who are certified and are complete dummies? Absolutely. Are there coaches out there that are great and aren't certified? Absolutely. But I think if you're going to spend the time to be in this industry, you need to show that you care enough to be in this industry, and getting certified does that for you. Understand that you know nothing. You know nothing when you come out of school. You think you know everything. I was one of those guys. I thought I had it figured out. You get into the field, you start learning some things, you start reading some books, and you're like, wow, I know absolutely nothing. So remember, as your circle of knowledge grows, so does the circumference of darkness around it. The more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know anything. It's a continuous journey in this field to learn and grow, and you'll do plenty of it. Just don't be stupid enough to think you have it all figured out, and know that you don't know. All right, the last one is actually kind of important. Some of you guys got to develop a personality, man. Like I can't tell you how many interns I've had who just can't sit there and shoot the shit with the athletes and like be a dude and be around and be fun to be around. You've got to have that kind of aura about you if you're a strength coach. You got to be able to get in there and chirp guys and, have a good time, because your personality and how you make them feel is half of why they're coming back. You could be the best strength coach and they get in the best shape, but if they're miserable walking into there and they don't have a good time talking with you in between sets, it's not going to be a place that they want to be. So develop a personality, or at least try to. That's a very important thing that I think gets overlooked a lot by up and coming strength coaches. All right, so those are the 10 things that I think are really important. If you think of anything else, drop a line in the comments. Let me know what you think is really important. I think a lot of up-and-coming strength and conditioning coaches don't realize the road that's ahead of them, how hard it is, like the grind that it is. Actually, you know what? I want to throw this in there too. When you intern like you work there. Don't come in, do the bare minimum. Don't do your 20 hours and leave. Do your 40, 50 hours as an intern, because if you're going to get into this field, you better understand what the grind is like. It's not coming in at 7 in the morning and leaving at noon and having the rest of your day to yourself. It's getting in at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning at a lot of places. Even before that, I had a facility I worked at where I was at there 4:30 every morning, and I would leave at almost 9 o'clock at night. That's how the field is until you get way higher up. So just get in there and understand how difficult it is, how hard it is, before you decide to pull the trigger, and know that, I'm going to go down that path and that's what I'm going to do. It is what it is. That's how the field operates. All right, so to wrap this up, those are all important things. Try to keep all that in mind when you're deciding whether or not you want to get into this field. I tell every intern that comes through my doors for the past 10 years, keep this a hobby. Don't do it for a living, because it's very hard and it can crush you if you're not prepared for it. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll do this again next week. Hope everybody has a good weekend. It's Saturday now. It's beautiful down here in Florida. Hopefully it is where you are too. And we'll see you next time.